Good morning and welcome back to Almus Market Mornings. Let's discuss the FOMC. So the Fed will announce its decision tonight. All the bets are on a 25 basis point cut, but let's discuss a few more important points. Now, investors will be looking for what the Fed says on quantitative tightening. Now, QT is basically the Fed letting Treasury bonds expires. This essentially reduces money supply. It's a tool which is often used during the rate hike cycle to reduce money supply and hence control inflation. But of course, now we are in the easing cycle, and how Fed addresses this will start mattering. What the Fed says on their data-driven approach, since essentially they don't have access due to the government shutdown. Morning, JK, break down your expectations from the FOMC decision tonight.
Good morning, Swaraj. So I'm mostly in line with the market expectation of 0.25% cut. And apart from the inflation number, which came softer than expected last week, there are other unknowns for the Fed as well. Like, what is it going to be the impact of shutdown on the economy, which has now entered the fifth week also. So that's one thing they will have to consider. There is also a tightening of liquidity, some tightening of liquidity seen in the US money markets. And in fact, the short term money market rates have been slightly firming up as well. There was one of the largest drawdowns from the repo facility from the Fed. So there are enough supporting factors for Fed to uh, loosen the liquidity that could result in the quantitative tightening being done away with. They could probably continue with the mortgage-based securities, runoff, maturities to run off. But in terms of other the government securities, they may totally do away with the quantitative tightening. That is what I expect. The Fed's comments, or rather Powell's comments on the economy and how they like to proceed in the absence of economic data also will be very important. Meantime, there was also a rumor from market saying that Scott Bessent, the present Treasury Secretary himself, may be appointed as the next Fed chairman. This was only a market rumor, but knowing how open the media is in US, there may be even a pointed question about this in the Fed Fed's press conference. So that's something that I will look forward to hearing from the Fed. Yeah, and of course the US markets once again were exuberant yesterday. No, this was on the basis of fresh investment news from Nvidia and also Microsoft, both in the AI space. This actually clouded the negative news from two major companies. The UPS slashed 48,000 jobs, and Amazon has plans to cut 30,000 jobs. So these are much higher than what the market has been expecting. So I think this is something that the market is right now ignoring, but probably once the current exuberance is over, we see some impact to be seen on the market. Market is of course now waiting for the big numbers from Microsoft, Meta, and Google in the coming days as well. Also, the Fed meeting outcome. And optimism about China-US trade deal is also keeping the markets quite supported. And in fact, you can see even in the Asian market today, Japan and Korea are once again up sizably. Uh, that only the Australian market is down because CPI number has come higher and puts doubt on any further rate cuts from the Australian central bank. Speaking of central banks, apart from Fed, we have the Bank of Canada meeting today at 8:30 p.m. India time. Uh, this time, the expectation is not so uniform. There are analysts who say that they may hold the rates unchanged because the recent data have been good. Canadian dollar is already shown signs of strengthening, and despite the recent Trump statement saying that they will be imposing additional 10% tariff on Canada. So Canadian dollar is another currency which has shown some strength against the US dollar. There is also, Europe, which has actually given signs of better numbers. Recent numbers on the FO sentiment in Germany has been much better. I think euro continues to be better supported. There have been yen, which has got a sudden lift, not majorly, but it's stopped falling because there was some mild verbal intervention from Japanese authorities. There's also a statement from Scott Bessent, in his post in X, saying government's willingness to allow Bank of Japan policy space will be key to anchoring inflation expectation, avoiding excess FX volatility. Is actually indirectly hinting that Bank of Japan should be raising rate. We have Bank of Japan meeting also tomorrow, after a few hours after the Fed meeting outcome. And now I think the opinion is slightly divided. Although knowing BOJ, people would actually lean on the rates being held, but there is an economic case for the rates to definitely firm up. So that could be one reason why the Bank of Japan is rather the Japanese yen has been slightly firmer. It is going to be followed by ECB meeting. As I said, European data have not been bad, and there is stability in the French politics, at least for the time being. There is a move to increase the corporate tax in France, so that actually addresses some fiscal concerns as well. So euro looks better among the major currencies, and Japan, of course, depends on how the BOJ meeting will proceed tomorrow. Otherwise, dollar seems to be in a range awaiting the major outcome from the FOMC meeting, as well as from the US-China trade talks tomorrow, where there is optimism that some sort of a trade deal will be announced. For India, of course, the rupee continued to trade towards a weaker end of the range. 88, even 88.40 was seen in some odd trades, but then there was intervention at those levels, and we saw mostly trading below 88.30 as well. But it's interesting, that rupee has once again traded on the weaker side. While broadly dollar has been on the weaker side, the RER has been undervalued below 98. Major reason for this, of course, is the FII number, FII flows, which have been on the quite on the neutral side. There is no outflow, but there is no inflow as well. In fact, there are no major inflows. So the supply demand situation is in favor of the latter, which requires RBI to fill the gap. Speaking of FII flows, in fact, there was some market participants were surprised by sudden 10,000 crore positive number from FIs, but when you look into the details, it is reported that FIs have converted huge amount of futures position into cash position. So that's the reason I'm mentioning is this, because there is no need to expect selling because of this. This is the money which is already existing in the position of the FIs in the local market. Finally, gold has definitely seen a good bounce from support around 39. There was a temporary break below 3,900, but once again there was news heard from Central Bank of Korea planning to increase its gold holdings. So fundamentally, gold looks supported, and after a 10% fall, it looks well placed for a healthier, steady rally rather than the unusual big moves that we have seen in the past 2 days. So awaiting news from the central banks, I think we remain in a rangy market.
Thank you, JK. Fed decision to look forward to tonight. What he says, what Powell says on QT, as well as how they are proceeding during government shutdown. All those scenarios will be on markets' minds. As of now, it's well discounted. 25 basis point cut is what is expected. US markets, they continue to be exuberant. Fresh investment news from Nvidia and Microsoft. It resulted in the equities buoyancy. It also sort of clouded the sort of bad news, UPS and Amazon announcing large amount of job cuts and clearly the equities ignored this, and there was a lot of exuberance in the market. Risk sentiment has carried on to the Asian markets today morning as well. All the major Asian indices looking trading higher. There was some sudden strength in yen because of some verbal intervention by the Japanese authorities. Treasury Secretary Besant has hinted on Twitter that BOJ should hike rates, but in an indirect manner. But as of now, markets continue to expect BOJ to keep rates unchanged in this meeting. Otherwise, dollar remains largely in a range. Rupee traded at the weaker end of the range, but the losses were capped around 88.40. Gold saw a very good bounce from 3,900, the technical levels mentioned by JK yesterday. And there was also some news on Bank of Korea increasing their gold holdings. That's it from us today. Thanks for listening. We'll catch up tomorrow with the fresh round of updates.